Hello, everybody. Mark Gilliard here for AIM Country Music Television, and my guest is Struggle Jennings. He's grandson of the legendary outlaw country star Waylon Jennings, and like Waylon, he's pushed the music business around to create the music that he wants to create. He mixes a low, gravelly, and really melodic singing voice with a little rap, and he writes lyrics with a whole lot of heart. He's booking his tour in support of the Monte Carlo project for early in 2023. He'll be touring with Jelly Roll for 50 shows in the second half of 2023, and he's releasing Waylon and Willie 5. He has some stuff going on. He's here to talk about the video for his new song, Monte Carlo. Are you ready to hear a little bit more about what might just be your new favorite song? Struggle Jennings, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
You're very welcome. We're really happy to have you here today. For me personally, you're country royalty, but I'd really like to get the audience a little bit more information, a little intro, get everybody up to speed if you could.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Struggle Jennings. I'm an artist, been working at it about 15 years, took a little hiatus for a few years, came back stronger than ever, and been crushing it ever since. Last 5 years, touring the world, started a record label called Angels and Outlaws, signed some amazing artists, had a couple #1 records, got a gold record, and just, making music that's true to myself and true to my story, and trying to inspire millions of people that they can make it through anything and overcome any obstacle in front of them.
Yeah, I love the message of your music in general. I don't want to try to get that shadow of Waylon Jennings over you, but I know he's your granddad, and he's one of those original outlaws. During his time, they were doing that slick orchestrated stuff, and he just wouldn't put up with it. That was not okay with him. So they pressed for their own musicians, producers, instrumentation, all that kind of thing, and won. It seems to me like you're kind of on a similar track there. It's, in your own way, in a totally different age. But how much pushback have you gotten for the kind of music you do? Because you have a sound that's all you. It's not like you can go to a record company and say, here's country music. You go and say, here is this amalgam of things that I have made up. Here's what Struggle Jennings is. How much pushback did you get on that getting into the mainstream?
Well, I've got a lot of pushback, even from the beginning. When I first recorded Outlaw Shit, I recorded it in 2008. And I had sampled my grandfather. I actually had the actual files. So getting to pull the reels into the studio and pull his sound bites out and hear his thumb hitting the guitar. And so I created Outlaw Shit, and then the album I Am Struggle between 2008 and 2010. Now, during that whole time, so many people were like, oh, you can't do this. You can't mix country and rap. It's never going to work. I did it because it was what was in my heart. It's what was in my soul, and it's what came out in my creative process. A lot of the things that the old country artists were talking about were so relevant to my life and me growing up in the 80s and 90s and loving hip hop and, transforming into a rapper. The stories are simultaneous. They are pain, heartache, heartbreak, hard times, but there's always that shining light of glory in it. Being able to marry the two in an authentic way that was just true to me. It was never a gimmick. It was never that, hey, I'm going to try to do this. Nobody's doing this. I'm going to try this. It was more or less, I'm going to do this because it's what I want. And I got a lot of pushback at first, to the point where I didn't actually release that song until 2011. And I had recorded it in 2008. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm going to quit listening to them. I dropped the song. Unfortunately, I went to prison for 5 years the day that I released the video. Which was the best thing that ever happened to me. It helped me become who I am today, and gave me a story that has helped a lot of people get through what they're going through, and see that even after something like that, you can still be successful. If you change your life, you change your way of thinking, and you stick to your guns, faith and hard work, you can get through whatever, and you can be whatever and do whatever. But with the music, I released the album while I was incarcerated. By the time I came home, the same people that were telling me it was career suicide were doing the same kind of music. And this whole genre had been created behind it. even, coming home and, trying to figure out if I fit at a label, if I was going to try to find a situation, I got a lot of pushback like, well, we love what you do, but if you could change this and change that, if you could tone your story down, if you could, maybe sing more, if and it was just one of those things. It's like, I'm not willing to sacrifice the integrity of my music or water down what I've been through or the stories that I feel can help the next person or change who I am. I did a lot in my past to try to be something that I wasn't or to prove that I was something that ended up getting me in trouble. And I had just came to a point where I was like, I'm going to be me, regardless who likes it. I'm going to do what makes me happy. And it's worked out. With that comes authentic music. With that comes a real story. It comes a brand and something that people can hold on to and believe in because it's believable and it's real.
Well, you should stick to your guns. You shouldn't change a thing.
No. And I still get pushed back. Like they're not chomping at the bit to put me on radio. Apple Music, there's a lot of DSPs and a lot of platforms that don't really, they won't really give the big push towards that genre because of some other artists that have put a bad stigma around it, with either the rebel flag or whatever other people have tied to that. My music has nothing to do with that. My music is for all religions, colors, and creeds, and anybody that's going through hard times and needs some inspiration and needs some hope.
Yeah, you're unique in the whole inspirational end of it. I mean, I feel like everything you do winds up being a point to light. You wind up at some point in everything I've listened to so far being a point where you say it's going to be okay. This is going to work out. Yeah,
because it is going to be okay.
Well, you're here to talk about Monte Carlo. That title doesn't give us too much of a hint of what it's about. So fill us in on the background on that song. How did you write it? What's going on here?
So I bought a 1984 Monte Carlo. I sat in the car. I smelt the seats. I smelt the motor. It just has a regular radio in it. And the nostalgia that I got, bringing me back to my childhood, riding in the backseat of my dad's, just sparked an emotion and a feeling. And I said, you know what? I want to make an album that feels this way. So I drove the car to the studio every day, just listening to what was ever on the radio, whatever station would barely come in tune. And just tried to soak up, my childhood, my past, the things that I loved from the different eras, the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and just tried to bleed that into the music. So the album is completely different than anything I've ever done. There's a lot more singing on it. There's some old school country. There's some, newer country. There's some hardcore rap. There's some country rap. There's a little bit of everything on there. There's a rock song. Just whatever I was feeling when I pulled into the studio that day in that old Monte Carlo is what came out on the record. So it's really all over the place. They're either going to love it or hate it, but I love it. It's one of my favorite pieces I've ever done just because of the feeling to it and the authenticity of it. So when we were doing the song Monte Carlo, I wanted to embody that with singing and with rapping. And so the verses, I wanted to tell all the things that like my dad told me, or like the neighborhood taught me, growing up in that era. What were the things and how would I portray that to youth now? Because a lot of the things that I learned, of course, were like irrational beliefs, in hindsight, but they got me through what I was going through and made me who I am today. But how can I translate everything that I've learned in a language that the youth will understand it, that a young me would understand it, but be able to grow from it and not take it the wrong way. Right.
Awesome.
Yeah. So in the video, I pull up in the Monte Carlo. I'm not in my cowboy hat like normal. I'm in like a tracksuit. And I'm giving that message to a group of kids that are running wild in the streets. And So it was, it was super fun. I went back to my old neighborhood. I went to West Nashville and shot it to the nations. Um, yeah, so I'm super proud of the song. I love the song.
I love it too.
Yeah, I really felt great about it. So
Well, I'm pretty excited for our audience to hear it. How about we play it right now?
let's do it.
All right. You're watching Struggle Jennings' video for Monte Carlo on AIM Country Music Television.
Monte Carlo. Gold chains and wife beaters, soft-spoken loudspeakers. They called us bottom feeders, good for nothing drug dealers. 30 spokes, lean back, nugget, pinky ring. And teachers said we'd never come to be anything. Caught up in wild dreams, West Nashville, Tennessee. Right off the interstate, deep inside the city streets. All or nothing, ready for whatever trouble brings. That's just Monte Carlo things. Life's too short and we're driving fast, fighting demons on this path. Got the devil on our ass, praying the angels bring the laugh. Where we're headed, Lord only know. Some young souls on a lonely road, had no fathers to follow. Struggle. Monte Carlo. Came up on that concrete, down a dirt road, up a gravel street. Single mother with her only child, had my mama dreams and my daddy's feet. Don't bite your tongue, say what you mean, do as you speak. Baby, play for keeps, this shit ain't sweet. Better dig deep, sleep is for the weak. Don't accept defeat now, never buckle, just shuffle cards. Cut the deck and then play your hand. If his heart ain't right, love is not enough. Gotta let him go, you can't save the man. Never take a hand if you ain't tried first. Worked your ass off and gave it all you can to that final slow ride. In that bow tie, stand for God in the devil's land. Life's too short and we're driving fast, fighting demons on this path. Got the devil on our ass, praying the angels bring the laugh. Where we're headed, Lord only know. Some young souls on a lonely road, had no fathers to follow. Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo. Stood tall on that concrete with a heart of gold and some lead feet. Kids to feed, give them what they need, cause I refuse to be another deadbeat. Now lessons learned as the tires burn. Been a long road full of sharp turns, catching all the curves, giving gas and swerve. Eyes on the journey till it's all a blur. Well, I could never turn back now. Came too far to slow it down. Doing the best with all I know. Praying the Lord will save my soul. Life's too short and we're driving fast, fighting demons on this path. Got the devil on our ass, praying the angels bring the laugh. Where we're headed, Lord only know. Some young souls on a lonely road, had no fathers to follow. Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo.
Fantastic. That song sounds like kind of tough, kind of straight from the streets, but it does have that deep emotional streak hidden down in there. It's just so cool.
Yeah, yeah. The I started the song off with really wanting to, speak about, because my father was killed when I was 10. So being able to You know, I kind of learned a bunch of stuff, and then from him, and then he was gone, and so you know the neighborhood and the older guys in the neighborhood kind of became my father figures, and Waylon as well. There's a lot of references in there of things that Waylon taught me. So you know, just to all the it's a huge epidemic, you know, in our country. Kids growing up without fathers, whether they're passed away or whether they're just not present, whether they're incarcerated. So giving something for those young men and women that are growing up or have grown up without a father figure, you know, giving them something to latch onto.
Right. This could be
also
their
as well. Yeah.
Well, by the way, your singing voice really does have that distinct, I don't know, sort of gruff and low and edgy. Kind of makes you lean forward to hear what the next line is going to be. I don't want to discourage anything about the rap end of it, but I understand why people say sing more. It's a really distinct and really a nice voice. It's comes through there really well.
Yeah, I'm loving it. You know, I've reached a pinnacle in what I do rap wise. Like I've perfected my rapping voice, my cadences, my lyrical content. I've perfected that, what I do rap wise. So stepping into a world where I'm doing a lot more singing, and I haven't sang a lot. It was, well, of course, in the car, in the shower, but on a lot of tracks before. I hadn't done a lot of studio singing. So going in there and almost starting completely over was so fun. You know, when I know I can go in there and just lay an incredible rap verse, but it's like, yeah, but I want to do something different. I want to spread my wings. I want to perfect that next level for me, because I want to perform till I'm 85. You know, so I want to write those songs that I can sing and that become timeless, and that I can stand on a stage with a guitar and, you know, 40 years from now and still perform.
Well, give us a little background on the crew that helped with this video. You or other the actors and musicians, car, video team. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, it's all family. The song, of course, was written by me. Caitlin Curtis came in and helped with the melody and wrote part of the hook with me. She's one of the artists that I've signed. Amazing writer and artist. She's going to be huge. DJ Scatterbrains is the one that produced it. A lot of great players on it. Then the video was produced by Sebastian Marbury, who is Mass Bomb, and his company's called Mass Bomb, and his cousin Malcolm, who they have been in my life since the beginning, really. Sebastian was the first label to sign me back when he owned a label, and then ended up becoming just my manager at one point, and then my video guy and my business partner. And he's just, I mean, when I went to prison, he's the one that started my Instagram and, you know, helped build my brand and keep it all alive while I was gone.
That's a brother.
Yeah, man, he's my right hand. And so him and Malcolm shot the video. All the actors in it are all kids that we know, friends' kids. So it was all family in the video. Yeah.
Nice little family affair. Was your dad a musician too?
No, my dad wasn't. So my mom is,
because your daughter is, right? Your daughter is on some videos with you.
Now my mother is. My mom is a songwriter.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom is the daughter of Jesse Coulter and Waylon.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So, well, her biological father was Dwayne Eddy. So Waylon got custody of her when she was 4. So, so my mom's an artist as well. She's amazing. We've got an album together. We did a Christian album a few years ago, EP.
I'll look that up.
It was amazing. She's so incredible. You know, she's raising my little brother and working full time, but trying to keep her in the studio and keep her active, because she's one of the best songwriters that I've ever heard in my life. Definitely where I got a lot of my songwriting from.
Yeah, I kind of wondered the path to get there, because there's usually some sort of connection that keeps it alive and keeps it alive and keeps it alive like that.
Well, music always did it for me. You know, my mom, I grew up in a house with a single mother, and we had a piano in the house, and She would sing hymns every morning to get us up. You know, she would write her songs and play at night. So regardless of what I was ever going through, even up into my late teens, you know, I could go sit at the edge of that piano and she would just play and it would just take it all away. You know?
That's a good memory.
Yeah. So, yeah, my daughter is an amazing artist. She's got a new single coming out next week called 61 South. Her new album drops early next year called Cowgirls Don't Cry. And it's amazing. Like I'm so excited for her in this next phase in her career because this album is truly a masterpiece.
Awesome. We'll check that one out too.
Yeah.
You do have another song coming out. It's going to be available everywhere in just a couple of days called Alligator Boots with Yellow Wolf.
Yeah.
We should probably make people aware of that one too, just so they, so they're aware of it and get out there and look for it. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah. So Friday, November 25th, we're releasing Alligator Boots. This song is completely, it was one of those things. Wolf had just got done recording a rock album called Sometimes Why that was produced by my uncle Shooter Jennings. And so he had just done a rock album. I was working on this album and it's, so much more country than I had ever leaned. And we kind of got in the studio to work on a song and looked at each other like, let's just remind them that we're rappers. And so Alligator Boots is front to back, barely any hook, me and him just rapping, going back and forth.
I got a preview of it. People should definitely check it out Friday. So.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun record. It's one of those ones that, there'll be some people that are like, oh, I love the stuff y'all were doing. And then there's going to be so many people that are like, this is what we miss,
Yeah. Yes.
So,
yeah.
Definitely a fun record.
It will polarize for sure.
Yeah.
But it's definitely more of who you are and what you can find woven through everything. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's wrap this up with where to find you online, on stage, and where to buy or listen to all this music.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I am Struggle. Facebook, Struggle Jennings. Twitter at Young Strug. YouTube, Struggle Jennings. Just locked in 50 dates next year with Jelly
wow.
Roll.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, man, that's like my little brother. Me and him have been best friends 20 years. So watching all the success that he's had, and he deserves every bit of it. And he's just nonstop killing it right now. I love it. I'm so proud of him.
Well, that's nice. That's going to make a really good tour. We probably all should be finding tickets for that.
Yeah, and we're also going in January to record our 5th Waylon and Willie album. So next year I'll be releasing Monte Carlo, Waylon and Willie 5, and doing 50 dates with Jelly Roll as well. So, and I'll have the Monte Carlo tour. We're booking right now for March, April, May for the Monte Carlo tour. So those dates will be up before the end of the year. And then me and Jelly from July to October.
Well, Struggle, I have loved having you on today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, Struggle Jennings. So, what do you think? Is Monte Carlo going to be your new favorite song? This has been Mark Gilliott for AIM Country Music Television. Thank you for watching.
Got the devil on her ass, praying the angels bring the land. Where we're headed, Lord only knows. Some young souls on a lonely road had no fathers to follow. Struggle, Monte Carlo. Came up on that concrete down a dirt road up a gravel street. Single mother with an only child, had my mama dreams and my daddy.